Good morning and welcome to Sunday Square Off. On the show today, Prop 123 money. It's supposed to be no strings attached. So why do lawmakers suddenly want to know where schools are spending it? Minimum wage blowback. Governor Ducey signs a bill making it harder for Arizonans to make law at the ballot box. Why it's a reaction to the Prop 206 victory. And new and improved loans. High-interest lenders are knocking on Arizona's door again. Why they claim 164% annual interest is a smoking deal. But first, Governor Ducey has come up with a new way to get more money to Arizona's 3 public universities. They would keep the state sales taxes they pay and use the revenue stream to finance hundreds of millions of dollars in building repairs and new construction. An estimated $1.5 billion worth perhaps over 30 years. But there's no free lunch. Arizona's cities want to know why the governor is taking the sales tax revenue out of their pockets to pay for higher ed. Cities and counties say they could lose hundreds of millions of dollars. This all has to be worked out in the state budget. One of the key players, Eileen Klein, president of the Arizona Board of Regents, which oversees our 3 universities, joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Put this money in perspective. It sounds like an awful lot. We haven't been talking about university money a lot over the last few years. How much is it, and how does it compare to years past, what universities have been getting in years past from the state?
Well, first, this is a terrific advancement for the public universities. It has been at least a decade since people have been talking about how to give the universities more money, and this is the most substantial proposal we've seen to that end. So we are very encouraged. The Governor Ducey, has put on the table not only money for new resident students to help support the cost of their education, but importantly, an opportunity for us to continue investing in our buildings, both to keep our buildings up to date and to create new buildings that will help us with education and research.
So is it just for buildings and new buildings and repairs? Are there guardrails on this money that say would keep it from being funneled to salaries or administrative expenses?
The dollars that are under consideration from the sales tax are specifically for building refurbishment and new building investment. It's important to understand what we're talking about. The universities have close to 1,000 buildings statewide on their campuses for education and research purposes. It's about 28 million square feet. They have an asset value of about $10 billion just on their own. So point being, this is a huge asset, and Governor Ducey's taken a terrific step forward by making sure that we preserve this asset and that we continue to grow. Our universities are going to continue to grow as our state grows, and we need to have buildings that are up to date for both students and research faculty.
So it's coming out of sales tax revenue. Would there be a separate budget appropriation for the universities, or is this it?
Well, the state of Arizona is one of the very few states that actually charges universities for a sales tax on their purchases. So the governor's proposed that we corral those dollars and that we use them as a fund that we can then leverage for further development and investment in our university infrastructure.
So that would still be infrastructure?
Absolutely. The dollars would be for infrastructure. So
would there be a separate budget line this year for universities for different kinds of spending or purposes?
That's the goal. And so the universities have other dollars that are available for all of their general purpose operating funds. And it's important to remember that for every dollar we can secure that helps us keep up with our facilities, that's one less dollar that has to come out of other resources on campus. So we see this as a huge effort, not just to continue our growth and development in research, but also to really make sure we're keeping costs affordable for students so they don't have to bear these costs.
So I mentioned this at the top. This is a zero-sum game here, maybe a Hunger game. The sales tax money comes out of the pockets of taxpayers in Mesa, Phoenix, Tempe, Flagstaff, other cities. Why should the money for the universities come out of their pockets, for the sales tax revenue those cities get?
Well, first we should question why the universities are even forced to pay sales tax on their purchases, given that they are part of the state government infrastructure. That aside, it's important to think about how then we use the receipts that are generated. And our argument is that rather than putting them into further growth of government, they'd be better served to put them into an area where they can further propel the economic growth of this state. There's no better return for this state than to invest in people by giving them a higher quality education and to make sure that we're continuing to attract research dollars. We can definitely say that for every dollar of research space, we return for every square foot of research space, we return $350 to the state. So that's much more of an impact than if we just dedicate the dollars to the growth of government.
So they say they need to be made whole. They have certain expenses they need to take care of, the cities. You're saying they just want to get bigger, grow their government, and you make it sound like it's
I'll leave
almost
it to
wasteful
them to
spending.
explain what their
Are you saying they're
objectives are
wasting
with
the
their
money?
dollars, but I will tell you the amount of money at stake is de minimis. It is 1/2 of 1% of their share of state receipts. So for our largest cities who are complaining the loudest, it is the equivalent of a rounding error in their budgets. And so really this is revenue, foregone revenue in the future, and the benefit actually comes back to the cities by having a higher educated population, new facilities. You've seen the renaissance just here in downtown Phoenix alone. We think that the cities would be wise to partner on a proposal.
So you're
like
saying
this.
taxpayers should not be concerned, and the city's desires to be made whole really don't matter.
We
don't have
absolutely think that
the governor doesn't have to take care of that.
This is a good play for the citizens of Arizona because it gives a dedicated revenue source to continue to help fund university infrastructure. As you know, universities have taken some of the largest cuts in the state budget over the past decade, and for the first time, Governor Ducey's put a continuing revenue source on the table that comes at a very small impact to cities on their budgets and a very big opportunity for cities to help them grow where it matters in the economy.
All right. Eileen Klein, thanks so much for joining us.
Great, thanks so much.
When we come back, Senator Jeff Flake's family grills a Supreme Court nominee. Plus, new and improved predatory lenders say they'll charge Arizonans 164% interest, much less than the other guys. And schools have the freedom to spend Prop 123 money any way they like. Why state legislators don't like that. Stay with us.